I stood in the hallway holding the potato salad I'd made every year for family gatherings since I was 21. The tray was warm, wrapped in the same towel my mother used to cover hot dishes when we were kids. It smelled like comfort. It smelled like home. But no one looked up when I entered the room. Not one face turned toward the door. Not even my sister, who used to wave at me with both arms like a child. Not even my brother, who once said my cooking reminded him of the safest parts of childhood. They were all there. My nieces, nephews, in-laws, cousins. Laughter bounced off the walls, loud and careless. But none of it reached me. I walked to the dining table, slowly, trying not to let the foil slip. There was no space left. Every inch was covered in store-bought sides and someone else's casserole. I stood for a moment unsure, and then I heard her voice behind me. "Oh no, don't worry about it," she said. "We've got plenty. You can just leave that in the kitchen." I turned. There she was. Amanda, my brother's wife, wearing cream-colored linen and a smirk she didn't bother to hide. She was always like that, sweet enough for photos, sharp enough to cut glass. I opened my mouth, maybe to greet her, maybe to remind her that I was invited too, but she had already turned to refill someone's wine. I walked the dish to the kitchen. It was empty, quiet. The party was in full swing, just a room away, but in here, it felt like a waiting room. I placed the salad on the counter and took a deep breath. I knew this moment would come. I had felt it building for months. The cold shoulders, the missed calls, the one-word replies in the group chat, and always Amanda in the middle of it all. Smiling, suggesting, whispering, and somehow never quite at fault. I used to be close to everyone. I used to be the one they called when a kid had a fever, when the recipe needed adjusting, when someone needed a ride or a loan, or just a place to breathe. Now they barely said hello. And the worst part, no one told me why. That's what manipulation looks like when it's done well. It leaves no fingerprints, just absence. I stayed in the kitchen a while longer, picked at the edge of the foil, listened to Amanda's voice carry over the crowd. She was telling a story, one I had told her, but now it had a different ending. One that made her sound generous, and me, foolish. They laughed. I didn't. I thought about leaving. I really did. But something in me said no. Not yet. Let her play her part. Let her shine. Because I knew something she didn't. That underneath her curated charm and curated tray of pastries from a boutique bakery, there was a crack. A small one. But it was growing. People like Amanda can only control a story for so long. Eventually, the truth catches up, and when it does, it doesn't need to scream. It just needs to show up, like I did. Quiet, watching, remembering everything. It didn't begin with anything loud. That's how it works. People like Amanda don't need to shout. They use suggestion. They smile while doing it. At first, it was little things. A casual remark to my sister during cleanup one Thanksgiving. "Oh, I think she meant well," Amanda said, but it did sound a bit harsh. Then to my cousin, after I'd gently corrected a detail in a family story Amanda had misremembered. She just likes to keep things exact. It must be hard always needing to be right. It was never aggressive, never obvious, just soft erosion, like water finding its way into stone. I didn't see it then. I thought I was being sensitive. I'd apologize even when I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd overthink texts. I'd reword messages 3 times before hitting send. I started to feel like I was always one sentence away from being misunderstood. One evening, my brother canceled dinner plans we'd had for weeks. "Sorry, Amanda's parents just dropped in," he said quickly, "we'll reschedule." But they never did. My niece's birthday came and went. I dropped off a gift at the door. Amanda answered and said they were keeping it small this year. Only the kids and a few school friends. Later, I saw pictures online. Everyone was there, everyone but me. I didn't ask why. I already knew, I could feel it. That creeping sense that something had shifted, like a door had closed, and I hadn't even heard the click. The group chat got quieter, or maybe just quieter to me. Conversations moved on without me. Decisions were made without me. Once I asked if we were still planning the annual lake weekend. Amanda replied first. I think everyone's a bit busy this year. Might be best to skip it." Then, hours later, my cousin posted photos from the lake. Same cabin, same weekend, just minus me. I scrolled past the images slowly. My stomach didn't knot, it hollowed. I wasn't angry, not yet, just confused. And then sad. Deep sad. The kind that sinks instead of stings. That's the thing no one tells you about being pushed out. It's not the moment you realize it's happening that hurts the most. It's all the moments you didn't know it already had. I replayed conversations in my mind. Tried to trace the cracks. When had Amanda begun weaving herself into every space I used to hold? She was always charming. She was always thoughtful. She always brought the wine, remembered the birthdays, volunteered to organize everything. She was the daughter-in-law who made Pinterest boards and lemon bars from scratch. I was the one who brought potato salad and showed up early to set chairs. But charm without kindness is a hollow trick. It dazzles, but doesn't hold. And slowly, I began to see it. Little inconsistencies, comments that didn't match what someone else said, stories where I supposedly reacted a certain way when I hadn't even been there. Amanda told people I'd grown distant, that I wanted space, that I was dealing with personal things and needed time. And I had, but not by choice. I wasn't pulling away, I was being quietly uninvited. What's worse is that no one questioned it. Maybe because it was easier that way. Amanda handled things, took the pressure off, kept the calendar moving. People love convenience, even when it costs them someone they used to love. By the time I realized the full extent of what had happened, I was standing in a kitchen full of dishes I didn't get to serve, surrounded by laughter I wasn't part of, and listening to Amanda tell my story with a smile that didn't belong to me. And I let her. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I was finally learning when silence spoke louder than any defense. I stopped replying to the group chat. I stopped checking who tagged who and where they all went on weekends. I stopped showing up with potato salad or folding chairs or extra napkins. And no one asked why. That told me everything I needed to know. I didn't vanish. I just stopped explaining my presence to people who stopped valuing it. Amanda must have thought she won, that I had retreated because I was weak. But it wasn't retreat. It was observation, and I was done asking for a seat at a table I helped build. I didn't slam doors. I opened windows, quiet ones. I began to listen more carefully. People talk when they feel safe. Amanda talked a lot. She made comments at gatherings I wasn't supposed to hear. But I did. I showed up to my cousin's baby shower early one morning, uninvited. I smiled and said I was just dropping off a gift. I left before most people arrived, but I stayed long enough to hear Amanda say I was going through something, that I was fragile, that I didn't want visitors. None of it was true, but it was just believable enough that no one questioned it. I started keeping notes, not for revenge, for clarity. I saved screenshots, messages from months back where Amanda would suggest I needed rest or that I had asked to be left alone. I printed them out. I printed everything. Patterns began to emerge, phrases she repeated, lies dressed as concern. I remembered a voicemail my sister once left me. She said she was sorry for giving me space, but thought it's what I needed. I went back and listened again. She had said Amanda told her I was struggling, that I asked not to be contacted, that it was all temporary. I never asked that. I never said that. I never wanted that. But when someone positions themselves as the translator of your thoughts, for long enough people stop listening to the original voice. So I started collecting the things Amanda said in my name. I found out she had told my brother I was upset he got a promotion before me. I never said that. She told my niece I didn't want to babysit anymore. I was never asked. She told people I had grown bitter, private, difficult. And when you hear that enough from someone who smiles and says she loves you, people stop asking you to explain. That's the cruelty of slow lies. They replace your reflection in other people's eyes. One day, I asked my aunt out of the blue what she thought had happened between us all. She hesitated and then said gently, "Amanda told us you needed time to heal from something. We didn't want to pressure you." I asked her if she ever wondered what that something was. She paused. then said, "I just assumed." Everyone did. Assumption. It built Amanda's story brick by brick. And while everyone assumed, I sat quietly and watched. Waiting, not for revenge, for timing. Because truth doesn't shout, it waits. And eventually, it enters through the same door lies used to get in. I wasn't planning to expose Amanda. I was planning to show up with enough evidence that she couldn't keep rewriting me. Let her tell the story again. I'd bring the receipts. Let her say I distanced myself. I'd bring the messages where she asked people not to contact me. Let her say I didn't want to be there. I'd bring the photos they cropped me out of. Let her say she was protecting me. I'd bring the voicemail where she said I was unstable. Let her say she loved me. I'd bring the silence that followed when I stopped being useful. And all of it would speak without me raising my voice. I didn't need to scream. I just needed them to hear me for the first time in years. It was a small gathering. Not everyone was there. Just enough. A cousin's graduation lunch. I wasn't invited, I knew that. But I came anyway. I didn't announce myself. I brought a card and a pie, walked in and smiled like nothing had happened. The air tightened. Amanda was the first to stand. Her smile was practiced. "Oh, we weren't sure you were coming," she said. "I know," I replied, handing the pie to the cousin's mom. "Thanks for having me." I found a seat at the far end of the table. No one stopped me, but no one really welcomed me either. I wasn't offended. They were confused. Amanda had done her job well, but confusion is vulnerable to truth. And I had brought mine. After dessert, I stood up slowly and tapped my glass once. Just once. Enough to hush the room. "I won't stay long," I said. "I just wanted to give you all something. A little reminder." I pulled a folder from my bag, passed a few pages down both ends of the table. No drama, just printouts, screenshots, voicemails transcribed, messages Amanda had sent using my name, conversations she claimed we had, words she claimed I spoke. They read quietly, eyes narrowed, foreheads furrowed. Someone gasped. My niece looked at Amanda. "You told me she didn't want to see us anymore." Amanda laughed too quickly. "It was misunderstood," she said. "Context is everything." My sister's hands shook as she flipped through the papers. "You said she was going through something, that she didn't want contact." Amanda opened her mouth, but the words didn't come. I stepped forward then. "I'm not here to humiliate you, Amanda. I'm here because I want my family to hear my voice from me, not secondhand, not filtered, just mine." My brother cleared his throat. He looked like he was choking on regret. "Why would you say all that?" he asked Amanda. "Why would you isolate her?" Amanda folded her arms. "I didn't isolate anyone. I just told people what you told me." I shook my head slowly. "I never said those things, and you know it." There was no shouting. No one stormed out. But the silence that followed was a shift, a deep one. People began to put pieces together. The missed birthdays, the strange absences, the altered stories, the small moments that made them feel distant from me. It all aligned. Amanda sat down. She didn't say another word. The room didn't accuse her. It simply stopped defending her. And that was worse. Later that night, my brother called. He didn't apologize right away. He just said, "I should have asked you myself." I believed her too easily. I said nothing, because sometimes silence is the only response that tells the truth back. My niece messaged me the next morning. She said, "I miss you." I said I hadn't gone anywhere. They just stopped seeing me. Amanda didn't reach out, not for days. Then a single text. "I never meant to hurt you. I deleted it." Not because I was angry, because I no longer needed anything from her. I didn't need her guilt, or explanation, or remorse. I had my voice back, and I was keeping it. The next family dinner was 2 weeks later. Everyone was there, everyone except Amanda. I wasn't sure if she was avoiding me or just the truth. Either way, her seat was empty. People didn't talk about her, not out of fear, out of fatigue. There was nothing more to defend, nothing left to excuse. We had all seen what needed to be seen. My sister helped me serve dessert. My brother offered to walk me to my car. It wasn't perfect, but it was warmer. Honest. I was real again. A person. Not the story Amanda had painted, A few days after I found an envelope at my door. No name on the front, no return address. But I knew the handwriting. Inside was a single photo, one we had taken years ago, Thanksgiving. The whole family. Amanda was in the corner of the frame, blurry but smiling. I was in the center. She had drawn a small red X over my face, and next to it, a note. I thought if I erased you, they'd see me, but now they just see through me. I'm sorry. No name, no explanation, just that. A quiet confession from someone who finally realized that stealing a spotlight isn't the same as being loved. I never replied. I didn't need to. Days later, my niece told me Amanda cried after the last gathering. Not when people confronted her, not when they questioned her, but when no one noticed she had left. She thought the silence would hurt me, but in the end, it's what broke her. And that, I think, is the only ending this story ever needed.